myself will characterize the Singapore summit in the way that it completed a skeleton, and flesh should be attached to that skeleton in the follow-up and negotiation between Washington and Pyongyang. If that process of attaching flesh is going on, it will remain an ugly skeleton as it is in the coming days. So probably that's why I said Singapore is not the end point, it's just a starting point. Probably the rest will be much more difficult and complicated process. And what US and North Korea can do to facilitate the negotiation. This is a little bit related with Professor Giovanni's characterization about the demand side analysis of North Korean position. So, think about why North Korea has developed a nuclear weapon. At least according to North Korean official position, they developed a nuclear weapon because of US hostile policy toward them. Then what the hell is hostile policy? Of course, US and DPRK is an enemy relationship. They cannot be, they can be hostile. It's quite natural. But nevertheless, North Korea has consistently demanded that in order to give up nuclear weapon, US first should give up their hostile policy. So that hostile policy includes at least three aspects. One is the political aspect, meaning that US should acknowledge North Korea as a normal sovereign state and respect as it is. And don't try to disturb this regime from outside. If North Korea is acknowledged as a normal state, then why can't we normalize US-DPRK relationship, like including diplomatic relationship? A second aspect is the security or military aspect, meaning that US and DPRK should stop the state war, meaning that they should stop the ceasefire treaty and replace it with a little more sustaining peace treaty. And third aspect is the economic aspect. US should lift the sanctions, and international community, including US Security Council, should ease sanctions against DPRK, so that North Korea can live and prosper in its own effort. So I think if some of these demand, perhaps thinking about right now, I think that the US and South Korean government is trying to accomplish a declaration to end the Korean War. It's just a symbolic political declaration. It is no binding effect. So I think it has interim evidence of confidence between USA and DPRK, perhaps declaring officially that Korean War is over. It is kind of one option that can be tried. But as you see, in order to completely declare the Korean War is over, perhaps we need some friendly gesture from North Korean side.
Scott, I find this question really interesting because, of course, by remaining vague, this statement also means it has some invisible red lines, right? That you have somehow to perceive, and you have to guess in a way. For me, however, if you look at what the Trump administration has said after the summit, there is one clear red line that is not part of the summit statement, but in my view, is very clear for the Trump administration will revert the situation, and that is if North Korea resumes testing. The reason for this is not that it changes very much the problem of the crisis itself, is that it will be the most visible sign that would humiliate a president that is obsessed with his self-ego. If you look at how he sold the entire success of the summit, is that thanks to his engagement, North Korea has stopped testing 9 months ago. And he kept talking about this over and over and over. So for me, resuming testing would actually be the invisible red line, the tripwire that could actually restart the clock. From North Korea is much more difficult, I think. One, in my view, will be, for example, the decision of the United States to resume military exercises with South Korea. In fact, even the Trump administration has acknowledged this is a very provocative action. But from the US side, I think testing would be probably the end game.
Personally, I think I would expect North Korea to behave well in the immediate future. I don't see imminent threat North Korea would push US-China together to sanction it. The reason is, physically after testing nuclear weapon device for 6 times, they are about to reach the level. They don't need to push for more tests immediately. And after acquiring certain quasi-ICBM capability, they don't need to push for envelope immediately. So they can live up with this reality, enjoying improved relationship with China and the US. Don't push China and US together. If they would resume testing, China has no way but to sanction it again. And China and Russia would not be in a position to speak for it in the UN to provide more humanitarian relief. That is not in their interest. They have to divide China and the US. They have to keep enjoying China's benefit and pushing America. They need to soften the US position, then to push for China for more benefit. This would be their best national strategic calculus. I think they are not a fool. They would do the best they have already achieved.
Okay, I think we at least were successful in setting up stage for the 2 days conference. And I think for United States, South Korea, and China, and Japan, and the rest of the world to be successful in dealing with the North Korean denuclearization problem, I think we need to extend the political terms of the presidents in each country to include 20 to 30